So, as I was just previously saying to the motocross riders, and hopefully it said some of you have started to implement this, when to do them, it doesn't have to be like a set session, okay? So I said a full mobility session for a lot of people is generally quite boring. So you could either implement them into everyday life, okay? Start off with just easy range of movement in the AM, and in the PM, then start to challenge it a bit more, because by then you would have moved a lot more, muscles would generally be warmer. Do it habitually. So if you're sat at a desk, even if you're playing like on the Xbox or something, okay, once you've kind of finished within breaks and stuff, I said you could do like your smaller ones, like your wrists, your neck, ankles, knees, stuff that can just be done on a regular basis. And then last but not least is as part of your warm-up. So I follow something called a ramp protocol. I'm sure Janos will do something very similar. Raise heart rate, activate muscles, mobilize, and then potentiate the muscles ready to then go into your main session. So this is where, as the mobility aspect, you could put some of that in, okay? So kind of key things to think about. First and foremost is you've got to keep this slow, okay? You've got to understand and feel, okay, what's happening around certain joints. So for example, the neck is when I took back and slowly pull down and slowly come across, I can feel what's going on around the back of my neck, okay? And by keeping it slow as well, you can start to adjust, you can start to feel if there's like, if you're having to work around a niggle, which I'll come on to in a minute, you can feel the tension building up, you can feel your brain and the tissues having to kind of start to tighten because it's trying to go into its protective mode. So you will then know how to kind of work around it. Second thing is we're making sure we apply tension into the rest of the body, okay? This will help you be specific on the joint that you want to work, okay? Our bodies will compensate by moving in loads of ways, although we just want to spend a particular time on one joint. Last but not least, if you feel pain, first and foremost, go see a physio, go to Yanis. Yanis will refer you elsewhere. But if it's not that, like, it's not serious, not what you'd class as serious, then what I would suggest is think of Pac-Man. So look at the Pac-Man shape down there, okay? Now, if we imagine, obviously, that Pac-Man was a full yellow circle, okay? That would mean that you've got full range of movement at a joint, okay? However, what I'd like to do is think of Pac-Man when you have a niggle. So, for example, if I got up to here, when my bicep was by my ear, and I can feel there's something not quite right, rather than going all the way up, then what I'd do is I'd bypass that part where I'm still comfortable and carry on moving, going through exactly the same pattern, okay? And then over time, that space should get smaller and smaller, okay? And then you will hopefully get your full range of movement back. But likewise, as usual, if you feel uncomfortable, not quite sure or worried, go speak to Yanis first, and then he can take you down that referral pathway. So we're going to start in an all-four position. So by that, knees are going to go under hips. Okay, you can either have feet flat to the floor, toes tucked under. So hips on top of knees, knees under hips, whichever way you want to say it. Hands under your shoulders. So you start in this, what would I class as this neutral spine. So just normal. Now from here, we're going to focus on pushing each and every vertebrae, each and every part of your spine, up towards the ceiling. So I'm going to start by tucking my bum under. And as I said, we keep it slow. And you're just trying to focus on pressing, as I said, each part of that spine, section by section, up towards the ceiling. So then you move into the mid-back. And then you start to move between your shoulder blades. So you're going to press your hands into the floor. Keep the elbows locked out. Press the back of the neck up by tucking the chin down. And we go into this fully flexed position. Now, you start back at the pelvis. And we're going to sink, so you're going to unravel the spine. Now, it's okay to stop and pause at each point if you feel somewhere that's moving that shouldn't be. And it's a bit like, I suppose in some respect, like a pearl necklace when you're putting it down. Pearl by pearl. Sinking, sinking. Allow the shoulder blades to come towards each other when you get towards that upper back. Again, keep the elbows locked out. And then slowly lifting the chin up. Okay, that's 1 rep. So this is just to keep your head or your spine aligned. Now, I'm going to lie in a fetal position. So my hands are going to be clasped, my arms are going to be straight, my stomach tight, my feet are in line with my bum. So if I was to lie this way, okay, you can see that my feet are aligned with my bum and my shoulders. Okay? So, from here, squeeze in the back of the arms, again creating tension, squeeze in the stomach. I'm going to lift my top toe up towards my hands first. Then I'm going to drive my top knee up towards the back of my elbow. Now, some of you will get there, some of you won't. Again, it's about having that intent to. So from here, I'm then going to drag my knee across the back of my arm. Okay? So I'm trying to keep it up towards my armpit. Now, from there, I'm going to turn my knee in and kick back at the same time. So I'm keeping this knee as high as I can. Okay? And I'll go back as far as I can. So you may feel a stretch down the front of the hip. You may feel a bit of cramping sensation in your bum and hamstring. And then I'll slowly lower the knee to align my hip and then back on top of the opposite leg. That's halfway. Then we're going to go straight back. Again, feel the stretch, feel bum and hamstring do the work. Then I'm going to lift my knee up to the ceiling. So you're going to imagine you're a dog cocking its leg up, about to have a wee. Then you're going to swing the inside of the ankle forward. Then the knee comes back up to the armpit. Drag it down the back of the arm again. And back down. That's 1 rep. This one, you can do it seated. You can do this on the floor if needs be. I'll kind of go through both. Just a bit wary because of that lighting behind. Okay, so what you're going to have, you're going to get yourself seated so your heel is slightly out in front of your knee. Okay? Or if you're out in the exotics with a nice bit of sun, okay, or in a cold garage, using that foam roller, okay, just basically have your heel bent, and again, having your heel slightly out in front of your knee, like so, okay? The premise of everything else will be exactly the same, in that your knee is to be in line with your hip, okay? And the knee always stays facing either forwards in that direction or up to the ceiling. So there'll be no rolling from the knee. Now, from here, you may see or be able to feel a bony prominence just below your knee, okay? That's what we're after to move. So from here, I'm going to turn my toe in to begin with. There's a slight bit of movement. I'm going to come back to center, and then I'm going to turn my toe out. Now, my knee's facing that way, but that bony point is facing it that way, okay? And that's fine. We come back to center, and we turn that toe in again. So you can see that I'm quite limited with turning the toe in. Go back to center, everything's aligned. Then I'll turn that toe out. The bony point, again, is pointing out. As I said, if you're doing it and you're seated, same process. Keep the knee in line, turn the toe in as far as you comfortably can, go to center, and turn the toe out. Okay? If you feel like the knee has a bit of a mind of its own and you can't control it, what I would suggest to do is have like a towel or a block, a cushion maybe, and have that in between your knees. Then that will stop you from trying to turn that knee in as you turn the toe in. Okay, last one then. Okay, and then you're done. You don't have to hear my nagging voice any further. We're going to go with your ankles. Now, with your ankles, I can imagine these are going to be fairly tight for a lot of you. So, options to do this. You could be do it pretty much. You could be laid back on your sofa and have your foot overhanging on the sofa. I've got my bench, so I'm going to have my ankle hanging off the end of the bench. If you're, again, somewhere flat, your towel or your cushion or your foam roller, you can have your foot, your leg up on there, and have your, basically a bit of space between your heel and the floor so we can get some good range of movement, okay? And if you're really struggling, you can just cross your legs over. Same process. Now, with your ankle, okay, what we're after is, again, the knee is going to be facing up towards the ceiling at all times. So the knee's not going to roll, because as soon as the knee rolls, we know that that is the movement that's actually coming from your hip, okay? Remember, we want to specifically work the ankle. So from here, I'm going to pull the toe up towards me as much as I comfortably can. Now, I'm going to start to turn my toe out. And basically, you're just going to draw a big circle with your toes. Okay? But as always, is trying to challenge it and make it as big as you can, whilst keeping that knee flat up towards the ceiling at all times. Once you've done 3 one way, then inevitably you'll do 3 the other way. Okay? But again, don't go through this willy-nilly, because you won't get out of it what you're supposed to get out of it. Maximise that range as much as you can through all parts. And like we've just done with the knee, take note on how things feel, and with the hip to some extent, okay? Does this right one feel more restricted than the left one, or does it feel better? Does it actually look like a circle with your toes, or does it look more like a square? Okay? Is the movement smooth, or is it quite jittery? These are all questions that you can help yourself to see improvement, okay?